Hello, this is Cara. Today I've brought you a little mini fabric junk journal that you can have a look at and a little insight into how I put it together. So let's get started. This one is the finished little mini junk journal, and this is what I started out with. So let's have a closer look at what I started out with. Okay, very simple, just little scraps. I chose neutrals, little scraps of fabric, and you can see here, there we go, keep inside my pink squares. You can see here, it's about, I think it's about 3.5 by 3.5 or 4 by 4. These are just pieces of fabric which I've just cut out, laid down. Now you can tell I love frayed edges, so I don't worry about those. The more haphazard the better. This is a little piece of some leftover scraps. This is how you use up all your scraps. This one, so I'm just showing you, for example, how I might just pop in, I might mix them up a bit, but pop in the different size, the different bits of fabric I have. This one's got a nice pattern on that side. I could have chosen to have it round the other way. Here's another piece you could use. They don't necessarily have to have straight edges. And here's a smaller piece that I'm going to put in the middle maybe. Now all up, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages, and then whatever your cover's going to be. Now I've popped that little bit of fabric. I thought, oh, that'd go well just to sit on the outside. And that's how my little mini junk journal started out. So let's have a closer look at what I ended up doing. I've been going back and forth with this little mini journal. Oh, it's over a year. Just doing a few stitches here and there. So it all started with, and this is, you can see the cover was originally this piece of painted scrap fabric I had left. It was on a base of the neutral, and I'd added later a little piece of fabric either side which made it wider because it became like the front cover. So you can see here I've just done a bit of simple stitching following some of the patterns. So it is a fabric journal. And it does have some paper in it. So I've got here a little die cut piece of fabric that's just been glued on, some stitching, a stamped word on a scrappy bit of calico. Inside I've added a photograph, blanket stitched that on. That's printed on fabric as well, embellished with a little paper flower. This one here, die cut. This is the negative of the die cut on some other fabric. They have been fused with the fusible webbing and a little letter alphabet, A for autumn. Now, when I worked with these, I kept it all pages were kept apart and mixed around and interchanged, and I only stitched the central binding as the very last thing. And that gave me opportunity to play with all sorts of things. So what I soon discovered, I was on this evolving journey, was that where I had stitched, of course, you always get your stitches on the other side. And I've ended up using napkin tissue, gluing that down with a fabric, it's called Paper Poetry. It's a white tissue glue, using some of the salvages. Sometimes you get words on the salvage of fabric. So those go in as a little comment. On this page, that's a negative of one of the die cuts, and just simple stitching around, fuse down that one, and a paper embellishment words. So I've mixed up the fabrics as I've gone through. So as you're progressing, you can exchange pages and colour match and that type of thing, and that's what you want to do. Once again, I've covered up my stitching by some napkin tissue, postage stamp. On this side, once again, the same template or a similar one, die cut that I'd used previously. I've then put down some layers of fabric, stitched them simply, paper embellishment, spring. So I go on, once again, camouflaging, I guess, the stitching, but it all adds to the texture. I like the effect. Another little bit of fusion, another little bit of selvage. There, a word, some little scraps of fabric, a number from one of the salvages, pretty little image. Nice and simple. I did all the stitching side of things first before I moved to the napkin tissue. More of the napkin tissue on the back of the stitched side. Some more salvaging. Count your blessings, for they are many. This is the centre of my journal. Just used some old stranded cotton I had, just a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. This side just stitched on a little piece of fabric. A little piece of fabric I was given by one of my crafting friends. Blanket stitched on. Made myself a little tab, a little bit of stitching, a little bit of selvage. This one, more napkin tissue on the back of the stitching. Another little comment. On this side, this was some hexagons I'd done in another challenge, and I had already done them, so I figured, oh well, I'll just stitch them in here, and I put the H, and then I realised, so I put down the meaning of hex and hexagon, taken out of an old thesaurus, which kind of makes it a little bit more interesting, that page. There's another little napkin tissue. It doesn't take much napkin tissue, I can assure you, for these little tiny mini books. Once again, word, lovely little bit of scrap given to me, bit of scrap paper, a little bit of ephemera there, a bit like a page turner, little heart, joy. I do have 2 cats too. Once again, napkin tissue camouflaging the stitching. Once again, a little statement. This one here, more gifted little bits of scraps, some words, and a photograph. My mother. Napkin tissue. And a word. And then on the back page, I've got my little piece of fabric that was just faux stitched, so I've just done that with a pen, a black narrow fine tip pen. There is actually a pocket here I could have used. I'd forgotten that when I put this down, but I haven't put anything in there as yet. You can see here I've tacked on a bit more fabric on that side, and there's the back. Three little pieces of gorgeous little fabric stitched together. And there you have it, my mini fabric junk journal with a bit of slow stitching, stamping, some paper, just good fun all round. So I hope you have fun trying out one for yourself. Thanks for watching. Bye.